Everything seemed fine until one day in 1937. The entire flight was going smoothly. No cares, no worries. Then there was an electric spark and everything was on fire. It was a flaw that made it so flammable, and the entire disaster could have been avoided if it wasn't for careless air. This is the true story of the LZ-129, the Hindenburg, that crashed, killing several people who had only hoped to enjoy a flight on one of the most famous airships ever. It was 1937, and hopes were still high from the previous season in 1936. 18 successful trips between Europe and the USA gave the ship a remarkable reputation. Nobody would have ever guessed that there were so many flaws that would eventually lead to the Hindenburg's demise. One of these flaws was very deadly in the end. Instead of using helium to lift the enormous blimp, the German creators used hydrogen. Hydrogen is good at lifting, but is also very flammable. On the Hindenburg's final flight, on May 6, 1937, a total of 35 of the 97 people on board were killed. The ship was destroyed by a fire explosion while it was only about 100 feet in the air. This all happened in Lakehurst, New Jersey. The ship's large explosion also killed one member on the ground. What happened could never be changed, but a reasonable cause could at least be discovered so that future Zeppelins would not make the same mistake. Finding the truth, however, was not easy. There were a lot of myths created while scientists tried to discover a cause. One myth was that the ship was painted using rocket fuel. This was disproven, however, when the ship creators released a statement telling that the material made up of the fabric covering was also a component in rocket fuel. Another myth was that the Hindenburg did not burn with hydrogen. This was supported by saying that hydrogen burned without color. This is true, but only when the hydrogen is the only thing burning. When the Hindenburg caught fire, however, many other materials were burning. After all of these myths were disproven, there was only one reasonable explanation: the Hindenburg catching fire. Many sources report seeing a blue spark right before the explosion, which gives experts an idea that the use of hydrogen may have been a factor in the explosion. Since hydrogen is very flammable, it's definitely possible that it could have sparked a fire. It wasn't for certain that that was the cause, but at least there wasn't a reasonable and probable explanation. Some people do not see an importance in this event, but all mistakes were made to learn from. Now all blimp and Zeppelin makers know not to use hydrogen as a replacement for helium. If all aircraft builders are cautious of this, lives can be saved. Unfortunately, it was too late for the Hindenburg and many innocent people just hoping to fly on one of the most famous airships ever.